For mountain biking, we have absolute strength, which may be as much as you can press for 1 to 2 reps. Then we have strength endurance, which would be how many push-ups can you do over 20. And then we've got functional strength, which is a combination of different testing physiological stresses that then reflect a little bit more the demands of mountain biking. These push-up sprawls engage much more of the core, put stresses on your shoulders and your chest a lot more, but in different areas, much like dynamic riding, which is what you're going to be doing and what you should be training for. Right. If you ride a lot, you will get tight hips. Try these 3 stretches that you've probably never done. This here with the back leg towards the rig, stretching through the lat, hits the hip in a very unique way. You might find tension in the hip here from lots of lifting up of the pedal that's difficult to get to. Jamie's biked around the world and she loves this one. Chris likes bending over, so he's doing the frog stretch, which hits inside the groin. Don't do this in a public space, but do it at home and you'll be safe. And then the one that you probably never do, unless you were born pre-1980, is what we call the footballer's stretch. You can do this anywhere, waiting in line, clench your butt, bring your heel back and your knee back, lock it down, get a good stretch through the quad and the hip. If you ride mountain bikes, it's important to build endurance in your shoulders in an almost isometric way, but also control and strength in your core. Try these pass-throughs to increase your athleticism and strength endurance ability and become a better rider. When you get to a rowing machine for training, the temptation is to get on and crank it up to 10 because you're an absolute weapon. This is not the right way to go on a rowing machine. This does not affect necessarily the amount of power that goes out. This affects the opening for the fan, which determines how quick or slow the fan slows down. So if I'm on 10, every stroke of the handle is stiff from the very start. Which is a less efficient way to use my hips. It's called the catch. So I'm down at a 6 generally for the most efficient stroke, which means that while the fan's still spinning, I put the first part of the stroke in, and the majority of the energy going in is through the opening of my hip rather than my lower back or arms if it was too light. There is a drag factor educational screen on the Concept 2. Make sure you check that out and learn for yourself the difference between 1 and 10 and what's right for you. The same applies to the ski erg because it's exactly the same erg system with a fan. Grip strength is one of the most important performance enhancing things you can do for mountain biking. Try this setup for dynamic grip strength, which is going to help function in your wrists. And then reduce arm pump, help handling, and strength endurance for gnarly downhill sections. Whoa. The issue I have with pull-ups is that to get super high reps, you have to be an absolute weapon. So when we're looking at rep ranges of 20 to 30 to build muscular endurance, then consider, if you don't have a lat pull-down machine, these 2 banded options. Jamie has a band attached to the top, allowing her to get way more reps in because obviously it's helping, and Chris has a band attached to the bottom. This means that towards the top, he doesn't get quite as much help. Either option is good when you're doing high rep pull-ups, which will help stabilize on the bike. If you're learning to do pull-ups and you're not that strong, there's a fair chance that you're like, yes, I can do 5. But if they perform like this is not an athletic, good pull-up that's going to help with your riding. This is going to create more tension in your traps and work more of your biceps and forearms and zero lats. So before you do this, activate your lats with a landmine setup. All you need is a bar wedged against a wall or some plates. From here, you're going to hinge almost parallel to the ground, bring the bar outwards, keep the bar as far out as you can whilst you bend your elbow to 90 and repeat, paying particular attention to loosening your traps and activating your lats. Once you're doing a set each side, then get back on the bar, pull more vertically with your torso, thinking about lat activation away from the traps. And this is going to be way better for your ability to stabilize, but also for your shoulder health, which is so important for mountain bikers. Tyson Hips for mountain bikers. When you watch Tyson, is tight, but all of his power is coming through that back leg drive, but linked with obliques. Try this banded rotation variation to keep tight, but link your upper body to your lower through your obliques and your hips. Fight like Tyson, ride like... Who? No one's popping out. Ride to your full potential. Chris is not auditioning to get into the circus. What he's doing here is rotational core benefit. Heels off the ground, much like a Russian twist. But what he's going for here is a little bit more stability through the shoulder, proprioceptive movement. And if you want to up the ante and get more, then slam that side to side, resisting the rotation on each one and generating power throwing, which will help so much on your bike handling. Ankle mobility, specifically dorsiflexion, which is the amount that your knee can go ahead of your toe, bam, is super important on the bike, but also affects the mechanics of all squats in the gym, which in the gym will help you on the bike. So adding a band here will increase a little bit more of the range, but what we need is more tension on the stretch. So if you have a partner that's willing, you can put as much weight as you can. Thanks, Chris. Downwards. Be careful if you have any tendinitis in your Achilles. This might be dangerous, but if it's sound, the more weight, the more pressure forwards, the more stretch, the more benefit to your riding and your squats. If you can, tense a muscle, how you're expected to activate it during exercises. Try this hamstring cramp test. It's a challenge really to see first, can you tense it so it's under tension while stationary? And second, how hard can you tense it? Chris and I are going to go all the way as hard as we can until we cramp. Ready? 3, 2, 1, go. Oh, I'm doing it. Oh, no, I'm not going to do it. I'm all dizzy. That's the hamstring cramp test. Don't do it if you want to walk for the rest of the day. Here's a awful assault bike challenge. All three of us are going to do it and share in the pain. It is 1 minute, as many calories as you can. See you at the end and see if you can beat it. 3, 2, 1, go! Ah. 39.9. You get 34.7. 20.8. I can't walk. See how you do. Calus Care. If you're a mountain biker and you train lots, you're probably going to get calluses. Look after them so that you don't get tears that keep you off the bike and out of the gym. Here's one simple tip with these that's going to help. Cuticle cutters. Google it. buy a pair. It shouldn't cost you more than a tenner. It will be revolutionary for getting rid of your calluses. Because of the shape of them, means you can get a good grip. And then they are super sharp to cut through in sections to then remove all of that hard skin. Spend time doing this maybe once a month or when they get bad enough, and that will save you from any tears that are then so painful you can't train. And it's upsetting that people might not train or ride their bikes because they haven't looked after their calluses. When we're talking about fitness for mountain biking, you have to consider that you're an athlete of a dynamic kind. Therefore, the movements you choose should be a little bit more testing than just straight up planks and side planks. This is good for not only building core stability and anti-rotation, but also some strength in the upper mid-back and endurance in the shoulders to help with your upper body riding position.